The TV played in the background. The string of disappearances continues. The cops are baffled as to who this is or why they're doing this. Jacob threw his papers across the room. He couldn't figure out what the hell was going on in this fucked up city. He was part of the task force, which was tasked with finding the person responsible for this string of abductions. Finishing his whiskey, then pouring himself another double of cheap rot-gut whiskey. He could not afford much, but it got the job done. Giving up for the evening, he decided to go get a hot shower and try to sleep. However, he did not make it far before his world started spinning. Then, moments later, his world faded to black. His body hit the hard wooden floor. The man stepped out of the shadows. God, I never thought he'd pass the fuck out. We gotta get him into the van. The next thing Jacob knew, he was waking up in the center of a clearing, with sunlight blinding him as he tried to shake off the drugged haze that he was in. Slowly, his vision became clear, and he noticed the 6 other people with him. They were all the missing people. Each stood regarding one another with fear and hatred. A voice came from the speaker. "Mr. Danielson, I see that you're awake. That's good. Just in time. Let me explain what's going on here. You're going to take part in a battle royale. That is a fight to the death. Only one person will emerge victoriously and be granted a very special prize." Standing up, he took note that laying on the ground were 2 machetes. Great. The least they could have done was give me my firearm. Oh, well, this'll have to make do. I need to survive if I'm going to bring these sick fucks to justice. Picking up the 2 blades and readying himself, the sound of a gun going off released each of the men from their shackles. Jacob watched as the men fought and killed each other. Hanging back in a fight like this was the best idea. In a situation when you're outnumbered, best to let the trash take care of itself. He watched as the ones that did not fight got slaughtered like cattle. It came down to him and 2 other guys. He smiled and then advanced on the first one. He went to swing at them, but he ducked it and slashed his first machete across the other guy's stomach. He fell, trying to hold in his intestines. The second man came running at him, but he stabbed him in the stomach. Then he pulled him close, smiling, and said, "I win," slicing him ear to ear and letting him fall to the ground. As he walked slowly over to the first man, he raised the machete and brought it down, severing his head from his shoulder. Covered in blood, he'd never felt so alive in his life. He had become a cop so that he'd be able to get away with killing his victims, but this was so much more rewarding. "Very good," the voice from the loudspeaker spoke again. "I'll need you to drop your weapon now, officer." Dropping the weapon and kicking it away from him, he shouted, "Now what?" A big gate he had not noticed opened up and a small group of people came walking out. The oldest member of the group walked over and approached him. "I'm Mac Brody, and this is my family. Well, you see, we're not related. Each member here got the same choice you get to make now. Join us or them." He pointed a finger at the clearing that was now littered with body parts. "Take a knee, officer, if you would." The tone of his voice made it clear that where it was a question, he did not have a choice. Taking a knee, the ground was soaked in blood, and he could feel it soak through his jeans. He reached out a hand to him and said, "Welcome, my son, to the family." Unsure of what to do, he took his hand and kissed his ring, swearing his fidelity to this stranger that he now called father. "Now, let's get the long pigs loaded